The film opens at a vibrant wedding reception in Thailand, where Emma and her best friend Lonnie are celebrating their friend's marriage. Emma comments on how genuinely happy the bride looks. Lonnie playfully jokes that Emma is bound to be the next one to get married. With music filling the warm night air and the celebration in full swing, the two friends simply enjoy the beautiful moment. Later in the evening, Emma stops by the buffet, but stares in confusion at the unfamiliar exotic food. A man named Mandel walks over and kindly offers to help, introducing the local dishes to her one by one. He even playfully convinces her to try the fried silkworms, describing them as just being slightly salty. Emma reluctantly takes a bite, but immediately gags. After hastily washing the bug down with some water, she politely decides to stick with dessert instead. As she is eating, Mandel checks to make sure she's doing okay and formally introduces himself. Emma asks where he calls home. Flashing a warm smile, Mandel simply says, "The ocean." He explains that he has lived all over the world: Australia, Tahiti, Bali, and now Thailand, where he runs an eco-boat tour. It has always been his ultimate dream, and he absolutely loves what he does, especially when the local sharks steal the show. Mandel then asks about Emma's life. She tells him she is a nurse, and despite the grueling, endless night shifts, she genuinely loves her job. Noticing her features, Mandel asks about the exact color of her eyes. Emma says they are blue, before quickly correcting herself, noting they are actually more green than blue. Mandel tells her there is a local saying that green eyes are a symbol of good luck. Just then, Lonnie walks over. Emma introduces her as her best friend and co-worker before parting ways with Mandel. Later that evening, the wedding guests gather for a breathtaking lantern ceremony to celebrate new beginnings. Lonnie starts teasing Emma about Mandel, joking that she should just marry him and have tropical babies with him. Emma laughs it off, firmly insisting she is not looking for a vacation romance. Mandel approaches them and asks what they have planned for the next day. When Lonnie mentions they are thinking about taking a bay cruise, Mandel invites them to join his private eco-tour to a shark sanctuary instead. Emma isn't thrilled. She admits she would rather go horseback riding than spend the day around sharks. However, Lonnie quickly talks her into it, pointing out that the newlyweds probably won't even notice they are gone. Mandel reassures Emma that he's taken plenty of newlyweds on this same tour before, and Lonnie happily accepts the invitation for both of them. The next day, Emma and Lonnie arrive at the dock. Lonnie asks a group of kids returning from a shark tour about their experience. The excited kids describe how huge the sharks were, claiming one was even bigger than the boat itself. The women meet Mandel, who introduces Ruhan, his young deckhand, and right-hand man who recently returned from working near the Great Barrier Reef. While recording the trip on her camera, Lonnie jokingly calls Mandel the Shark Whisperer. Lonnie boards the vessel easily, but Emma hesitates nervously before finally stepping aboard as the tour begins. The boat cruises through the water, offering them a beautiful view of the island. Lonnie asks if there is any cell signal because she wants to call her fiancé. Mandel tells her there won't be any signal until they return. Lonnie jokes that she can always just use a message in a bottle instead. As they continue the tour, Mandel explains that sharks are not the dangerous creatures people believe them to be. They are far more curious than aggressive, and humans are actually the bigger threat, while sharks only kill to survive. Humans often destroy the oceans out of greed, fear, or revenge. He explains that sharks play an important role in maintaining the ocean's balance. Without them, the entire ecosystem could be affected. This is why protecting shark sanctuaries and stopping practices like finning and overfishing are critically important. Emma is impressed by his knowledge and passion, and Mandel reveals he actually used to be a marine biologist before life took him in another direction. The boat finally reaches the area known as the Bay, a place where sharks gather to hunt and reproduce. After Ruhan anchors the boat, Mandel points out the 2 entry points where the sharks enter the area. He explains that each shark has unique dorsal fin and tail markings, just like fingerprints, allowing them to be identified individually. Mandel asks Ruhan to bring out the chum and invites the women to toss it into the water. Lonnie is instantly put off by the foul smell, and Emma flatly refuses. Mandel explains it's made from fish guts and blood, joking that to sharks, it's like ice cream, although completely disgusted. Lonnie finally throws it into the water. Within seconds, dozens of sharks rush in to feed. Excited, Lonnie asks Emma to take pictures. As the sharks circle the boat, Mandel explains they are a lot like humans. Some are shy, some are bold, and others are unpredictable. So it's always important to be careful. When Emma asks if sharks attack people when they're in a bad mood, Mandel says they don't hunt humans. They only hunt to survive, and bites usually happen when someone behaves like prey. He also warns that shark bites can be especially dangerous because of the heavy bacteria in their mouths. He then suggests they try petting one. Lonnie is too scared to do it, so Mandel encourages Emma instead. After a little hesitation, he gently guides her hand toward a nearby shark. Emma finally touches it, amazed that its skin feels like sandpaper. Mandel mentions that the scars and missing chunks on some of the shark's fins came from fights with larger sharks because they are highly territorial. Mandel announces the shark is a lure and asks Ruhan to bring out a large chunk of meat. As Ruhan tosses it into the water, a swarm of tiger sharks quickly surrounds the boat. As the women watch in fascination, Mandel explains how tiger sharks are perfectly built for hunting, from their powerful jaws and speed to their ability to crush hard shells. Suddenly, the mood changes when one of the massive sharks becomes tangled in a metal chain, causing the boat to rock violently. Mandel tells Ruhan to cut the chain, but Ruhan hesitates, fearing it will make the animal more aggressive. Frustrated, Mandel grabs the cutter and cuts the chain himself, freeing the shark. Emma and Lonnie are visibly shaken by the incident. Mandel severely warns Ruhan that if he ever does something like that again, he's off the boat. He explains that the aggressive shark is a local celebrity named Sheena, a 12-foot tiger shark, saying she's a little spicy because she is pregnant. Soon, Ruhan notices water pooling inside the deck. They quickly realize the hull has cracked, likely from the earlier collision with the shark. As they desperately try to keep the water out, Mandel repeatedly calls Simon over the radio with an SOS, but only gets static. He explains that the nearby cliffs create dead spots that block the signal. Lonnie begins to panic, asking what happens if no one responds. Mandel admits the boat could capsize. He shows her a painted line inside the boat, explaining that if the water reaches it, they will have to evacuate. When Lonnie asks about a life raft, Mandel admits they only have life rings, but says there is a village on the far side of a nearby island where they can get help. Mandel decides to swim to the island himself to get a rescue team. Lonnie worries about the sharks in the water, but Mandel reassures her that sharks don't usually attack humans, and most incidents happen by mistake. He adds that with no blood or bait in the water, he should be perfectly safe. He tells Ruhan to keep removing the water, watch over Emma and Lonnie, and continue trying to reach Simon on the radio. Mandel dives in and swims toward the shore while they watch anxiously. At one point, they fear a shark is closing in on him, but he miraculously manages to reach the shore alive. From the boat, Emma, Lonnie, and Ruhan briefly celebrate his arrival. Mandel runs through the dense forest searching for help. Back on the boat, Emma, Lonnie, and Ruhan continue throwing water out, growing more exhausted. At one point, a frustrated Ruhan calls the sharks monsters. He then reveals that he used to work on a shark dive boat. He shares a dark story about two Australian tourists who entered a shark cage while tuna was used as bait. A massive shark lunged at it, killing one of the tourists. When Lonnie asks about the other, Ruhan says they pulled him out. But he was also severely injured by the shark, adding that the beast almost got him too. Meanwhile, Mandel finds a small shelter on the island and tries to call for help. But the village is too far away to reach quickly. Instead, he finds a small canoe and decides to use it to get back to them. On the boat, Ruhan continues trying to contact Simon, but there is still no response. As time passes, the situation becomes desperate. Ruhan keeps bailing water from the sinking boat while Lonnie starts to panic, believing no one is coming and they are going to die. Emma desperately tries to reassure her that they will be okay. Soon, Emma and Lonnie spot Mandel in the distance, paddling back toward them. Excited, they call out to him, relieved that he has returned. Mandel tells Emma and Lonnie to take the canoe and head to the village for help, while he and Ruhan stay behind with the sinking boat. Emma refuses to leave him, but Ruhan selfishly insists he is faster and can reach the village quicker. Mandel reminds him that Emma and Lonnie are the priority and their job as sailors is to protect them before they can decide. The canoes or get swept away by the strong current. Mandel jumps into the water to get it back, but a shark attacks him. He manages to escape back onto the boat despite his severe injury. Emma and Lonnie quickly help him by tying a tourniquet rope around his wound, but Mandel urges them to leave because his fresh blood in the water will attract the sharks. Lonnie tearfully tells Emma they can't help Mandel anymore and they need to leave. As Ruhan tries to hijack the canoe, Mandel grabs him and holds him back. Emma and Lonnie get into the canoe and row away, but Ruhan viciously attacks Mandel's injured wound, breaks free, and manages to reach them. During the violent struggle, he pushes the canoe away, causing it to capsize and throwing Emma and Lonnie into the water. Ruhan scrambles into the canoe. A fight breaks out between Lonnie and Ruhan while Emma swims back toward the capsized boat. Lonnie tries to grab onto the canoe, but Ruhan violently attacks her with a knife, screaming he doesn't want to hurt her. Still, Lonnie refuses to let go. Ruhan then attacks her with the heavy oar, but she manages to grab it as he uses his bare hands to physically push the canoe away from her. Emma calls out to Lonnie, but when she doesn't respond, Emma jumps into the water and pulls her back toward the boat. Lonnie is badly injured, and Emma tries to reassure her that everything will be okay. Meanwhile, the cowardly Ruhan drifts away alone in the middle of the ocean, unsure of where to go. Back on the boat, Mandel keeps trying to contact Simon through the radio, but there is still no response. Emma comforts a fading Lonnie as she blames herself for what happened, but Emma insists it isn't her fault. Lonnie whispers that her hands are getting colder. Suddenly, a small signal comes through the radio before cutting off again, giving them a brief moment of hope. Emma tells her that help is on the way and asks her to keep breathing, but eventually Lonnie stops responding. Emma breaks down in absolute agony, realizing she has lost her best friend. Frustrated and overwhelmed, Emma sobs she can't do it anymore. Mandel firmly tells her they can still make it out alive. With the boat rapidly sinking, he warns that if they are forced into the water, they must not act like prey and should avoid any sudden movements. Emma breaks down, crying she doesn't care anymore because Lonnie is dead. Mandel keeps guiding her, warning that his bleeding leg will trigger a massive feeding frenzy and tells her she must leave him behind. Emma refuses to abandon him, with the boat continuing to sink and more sharks circling below. Emma quickly puts together a makeshift raft from the debris, barely holding on. Mandel tells her their only chance is to use Lonnie's body as bait to distract the sharks long enough to escape. Horrified, Emma refuses at first, but Mandel insists there is absolutely no other choice, reminding her that Lonnie is already bleeding and his blood will only attract more sharks. As he keeps urging her, Emma finally breaks down. Through heavy tears, she gently lowers Lonnie's lifeless body into the water, apologizing to her and telling her that she loves her. Soon, the water boils as the sharks begin feeding on Lonnie's body. Unable to watch the horror, Emma breaks down in tears. Mandel grabs the radio, gets onto the makeshift raft, and urges Emma to come before it's too late. Frozen with grief and trauma, she doesn't respond. As the raft slowly drifts away from the sinking boat, Emma remains completely motionless. Moments later, the boat finally capsizes, throwing her into the water. Mandel quickly reaches out from the raft and pulls her safely aboard. As night falls, he continues calling for help over the radio, but there is still only static. The next morning, Emma wakes to find sharks closely circling the tiny raft and quickly wakes Mandel. Knowing his time is up, he takes off his bracelet and gives it to her. Emma begs him not to leave her, but Mandel tells her the green eye brings good luck and that help is on the way. He says she can make it, but Emma insists she can't survive alone. As Mandel intentionally rolls off and drifts away from the raft, Emma desperately calls for him to come back. Moments later, the sharks attack him, pulling him under and leaving Emma entirely alone in the middle of the sea. Sometime later, a severely dehydrated Emma spots a large boat in the distance and desperately calls for help. She then notices the dropped radio floating in the water. Realizing the raft can't reach it, she bravely jumps into the sea and grabs the radio. While swimming back, she comes face to face with a massive tiger shark just beneath the surface, but it miraculously swims past without attacking her. Emma climbs back onto the raft and manages to get a weak signal. She calls for help, but the person on the other end speaks only Thai. Unable to understand each other, Emma repeatedly screams at them to turn around. The plea works, and Emma is now safely on the boat. As she steps out of the bathroom to recover, she is shocked to find the deck covered with dead, mutilated sharks. She watches in disgust as the men continue cutting off their fins. Deeply disturbed by the sight, she steps outside for air, looks down at Mandel's bracelet, slips it onto her wrist, and closes her eyes, trying to gather herself. Suddenly, a shadow falls over her. Ruhan has also ended up on the exact same boat. After spotting Emma earlier, he quietly heads inside. A few minutes later, he suddenly returns and violently attacks her, striking her with a nearby object. During the violent struggle on the bloody deck, he insists he never actually killed Lonnie and never wanted to hurt anyone, refusing to be a victim. Emma grabs a heavy wrench and fights back, eventually overpowering him. Even on his knees, Ruhan continues blaming Emma for everything, accusing her of killing Lonnie. Emma stares at him coldly and delivers one final devastating kick, sending him plunging overboard, saying that was for Lonnie. As Ruhan desperately screams for help in the water, dozens of sharks begin circling around him, while Emma silently watches his demise from the railing. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more thrilling movie breakdowns. See you in the next recap.